Welcome to the Visionaries, Champions of Industry, where we delve into the lives and minds of remarkable individuals who have shaped the business world. In today's episode, we will be at the forefront of sustainability with two distinguished experts from Ramboll. Joining us today are Ricky Ori, the Sustainability Director at Ramboll Buildings globally, and Tushan Suri, the Head of Sustainability for the Middle East, leading Ramboll's impactful sustainability initiatives in the region. Hope everyone is ready and excited for the exploration into sustainable practices, strategies, and the visionaries driving the change in the industry. Without further ado, thank you so much for coming over to our studios today.
Thank you for having us.
How are you doing?
Really good.
Great, thanks. Now, to kick off our conversation, I just wanted to ask you about your personal journeys. Obviously, where did this passion, let's say, for sustainability come from? We can start off with you, Tushan.
Right. Everything in the space is new.
Right.
And so that's what really got me into the space. And what keeps me excited is unlocking the potential of value creation models for organizations, for developments, for projects, and creating a positive impact on the triple bottom line, which is people, societies, and profitability. So getting that puzzle together is something that I really enjoy and keeps me motivated.
Right, Ken. I mean, sustainability is really part of Ramboll's core mission and values. So if you could just delve a little bit more into that and tell me about this mission that Ramboll has and how do you aid driving it?
So Ramboll's mission is to develop societies where people and nature flourish. And as a foundation-owned company, all of our profits are reinvested back into the company or handed out as philanthropic funding for research and society improvements.
Right, that's very interesting. Now, jumping onto you, Tusha, when it comes to sustainability, I wanted to talk to you about the Partners of Sustainable Change vision that you have in the company. How does this approach to sustainability in that engineering and consultancy sector field really guide your mission?
As Ricky said, I think I must reiterate that Ramboll is a very purpose-driven organization. Sustainability is not a mega trend that we're trying to ride the wave on. It's embedded into a vision and mission statement, as Ricky highlighted, that it's about developing sustainable societies where people and nature flourish. So it's about the triple bottom line again. In terms of regionally, what we're trying to do is decoding Partners of Sustainable Change into three key opportunities and service offerings for our clients. One is working with them on a portfolio level, leveraging our global expertise, having experienced what's gone through the ESG space in the UK and Europe post COP26. So we have the lessons learned, bringing it to the region to draft our clients' portfolio-wide strategy and converting their commitments into real, tangible pathways. So corporate level engagement. The second is having a human and a people-centric design offering, where we work with clients on a pre-concept level, not to bolt on sustainability that has been historically experienced to some degree in the region, but to embed sustainability. So pretty much drafting out something as simple as briefs for all other disciplines, ensuring that sustainability forms a DNA of that brief.
Right.
And the thirdly is working with our multidisciplinary teams to then operationalize our commitments and targets, not just externally, but internally.
Right, thank you for that, Tushan. Is there anything that you would like to add to what Tushan just said regarding, Partners of Sustainable Change and that whole initiative on a global level, Ricky?
Our current strategy is called this Partner for Sustainable Change. It's a global strategy that goes across our 7 markets and all of our geographies. And it focuses on 4 unifying themes, which is decarbonization, resilience and livability, resource management and circularity, and biodiversity and ecosystems. And all of these themes are focusing on the sustainability agenda, and we can see there's a huge need for change in the way we manufacture products, in the way we build in the built environment, and in the way everyone delivers services. And we can also see that there is a gap between industry ambitions, between governmental ambitions and the action that is actually happening out there. And that's also reflected in our campaign, Close the Gap, And that's the change that we really want to be a part of, closing that gap between ambitions and actions on the sustainability agenda.
Right. I mean, Tusha and Ricky did mention that there's these unique roadmaps for each region. Could you please tell us about the Middle East and what would be the initiatives here?
I think from a regional perspective, decarbonization of the built environment is material for two key reasons. One is it's a year of sustainability. We have COP28, and definitely carbon is being seen through a magnifying lens. The second is the contribution of built environment to the economy of the region. So the construction and the built environment sector contributes to circa 20 to 25% employment in the region. It's the highest employing sector in the region. So there's definitely an opportunity and a position to drive a positive change. And we recognize that one. At an organizational level, our approach is data-based and science-driven, i.e. supporting and working with our clients and our partners and the wider industry to enable our designs to align with the 1.5 degree climate science. We're not saying every project needs to be zero emissions, because we recognize that the maturity globally and regionally is evolving.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is supporting our designs to align with the 1.5 degree climate science. And in terms of data, I think data is key. As Ricky outlined, we're at Ramboll globally, we're building a carbon database, literally a data warehouse that enables us not to make emotional decisions, but data-driven decisions on what's real, what's ambitious, and what's business as usual. Secondly is leveraging our computational design capabilities that we've developed within the organization over the last 2 years. What that means is that historically, during early design stages, which are always shot in this part of the world, everything needs to be yesterday.
Right.
We could analyze 1, 2, or 3 design options. With computational design capabilities that we've developed globally and regionally, we can now analyze 20 iterations of a design and identify which will be the most efficient route within a span of 3 to 4 days.
I wanted to pick your brains a little bit about a topic that I'm also pretty curious about, which is regenerative design. And there's no doubt that there is a difference between sustainability, right, and regenerative design. So just wanted to ask you if you could explain Ramboll's approach to this topic and how it really integrates into all of those projects that you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, so I'd like to sort of explain the difference between sustainability and regenerative. And we've been talking about sustainability for more than 30 years now. And we can see that our planet is still suffering. Sustainability is about fragmented optimization of projects. It's about reducing that negative impact of our design. It's a very mechanistic way of making small fragmented improvements. And it's basically about doing less harm in our projects. And we can see now that 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries have been overstepped, which means that our planet is really suffering. And we need to take a radical change in our mindset to shift that approach and use this new design paradigm, which is regenerative design.
Right, I understand. And then the benefits of this would be the top 3 that you can think of.
Yeah, so the benefits would be to take a much more long-term perspective on things, to improve resilience, to improve biodiversity, to improve health and well-being and livability and social systems, while also improving the reputation of the whole project or the neighborhood. So it's about creating value in a very holistic way.
And if I can just add to that, I think the recent IPCC report has been very clear and explicit that between the private Paris Climate Agreement in 2015 versus as recent as 2022, the global efforts to reduce harm have not been enough.
Right.
Which means that we've already overstepped into our harm budget. And thus to offset that, and when we see the global stocktake happening on COP28 on a regional and international level, we believe it's not about reducing the harm anymore, it's about giving back to the nature, to the societies, to the ecosystem, And that's exactly what regenerative design does.
Right. And I mean, talking about giving back to the society, Ramboll does emphasize, and I read this on your website as well, that you're extremely, human-centric, nature-focused, data-driven. So I just wanted to ask you, Tushan, if you can provide some examples of how did this approach, once applied to this region, what outcomes, let's say, did you receive? Were there any, success stories that you can talk about?
I think from a regional context, especially post-pandemic, regionally and globally, we've realized that as individuals, we spend 90% of our times in buildings. Now, these can be offices, residential spaces. Thus, it's fair to say that developments today have a huge impact, not only on the nature, but also on our physical and mental well-being of the occupants. In our approach regionally, I think we work with clients at an early stage, and when I say early, it's pre-concept level, to embed sustainability into design. So drafting out briefs for other disciplines. And before we do that, the entire process is data-driven, science-driven, and data-based. So we operate like a think tank to understand where the market would be, where the customer expectation would be in 10 years from now, and inform that in design today, to align with our purpose of future-proofing developments and making it future-ready for our clients. So during that process, it's literally mapping out user journeys, understanding through the journey of the user, what are their pain points, how we can address that, and second is where all their emitting carbon footprint and how we can support our clients on the journey. I think on a digital strategy, it's computational design. It's leveraging that Ricky early outlined around the data warehouse that we're building within the organization, but there's also additional service offerings. So yes, that's us on a regional level. But having said that, I think the underlying theme internally within Ramboll on a regional level is training. So it's heavily investing on training for our people, and the ambition is that each individual needs to be the ambassador and not just a small team or the leadership.
Definitely. Was there anything you would like to add to this, Ricky?
Yeah, so how do you drive this on a global level in an organization with 4,500 people in buildings across our projects? And we do that by defining 3 strategic pillars, which is sustainability, design excellency, and digital and innovation. And we are combining these 3 pillars in an approach where we say sustainability is a set of targets, design excellency is how we meet those targets, and digital and innovation is the enabler that allows us to do it in a cost-efficient way.
Right. Now, talking about doing things in a cost-efficient way, I really wanted to ask you, sustainability, obviously you face a lot of challenges and opportunities, there's no doubt about it. So I just wanted to ask you, Tushan, what are these key market challenges that we're facing here in the region? And then what are those key opportunities that you do encounter when it comes to really embedding sustainability in all of these projects that you're doing here?
Thank you. I think challenges and opportunities go hand in hand. What we're experiencing as individuals, organizations, cities, countries, as a global society is unprecedented.
Right.
So I think in terms of awareness, it's going through its maturity journey, but that's organic. Different parts of the world are on different maturity journeys, and I think few would be ahead, few would be catching up. So the first is awareness. The second, I would say, is in my personal experience, working across multiple geographies and multiple clients, multiple initiatives, has been that sustainability doesn't come at an additional cost. So it's breaking through the myth. The approach needs to change. I think regionally, decision-making has been a very CapEx-driven approach. But when you take a step back and look at it from a life cycle cost or cost of ownership lens, then it's really not expensive and it doesn't come at an additional cost. Inversely, it actually supports in cost reduction from a life cycle cost of ownership perspective. So I would say that's the second. I think third, in my experience of working in other geographies has been the development and introduction of regulation. I'm not suggesting in any way that regulation will drive change, but it's an enabler for change. So if I can take an example, something like the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, which was mandated or introduced in the UK in 2021, or CSRD, which is in Europe. It's having regulatory frameworks and mechanisms that enable transparent and genuine reporting on your non-financial disclosures, which includes your impact on carbon, includes your impact on biodiversity, includes your impact on people within and outside the organization.
So if I can conclude what you said, it would be that sustainability can be cost efficient.
100%.
And sustainability can be motivated by regulations that our governments can implement.
Correct. And I think it can be motivated. I think the deciding factors are always the shareholders, i.e. for different organizations, the shareholders and stakeholders would be different. For a B2C business, it would be the end user, maybe you and me. For another organization, it can be existing investors. For one organization, it can be potential new investors. But what we need is transparent and annual reporting of data so that the shareholders and stakeholders can make informed decisions.
It was an absolute pleasure having you, Tushan and Ricky, here in our studios today. I wish you the best of luck, a safe flight back.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
As we conclude this enlightening episode of the Visionaries Champions of Industry, we extend our gratitude to Tushan and Ricky for sharing their invaluable insights into the realm of sustainability. Stay tuned for more thought-provoking conversations with industry leaders on the Visionaries Champions of Industry. Until next time, stay inspired.